Hello friends, welcome back. My name is Kate and today we're going to paint this beginner-friendly palm tree watercolor bookmark. Let's get started. I'm working with watercolor paper that is 140-pound cold pressed, as well as a large round paintbrush and one smaller round brush, some washi tape, and then you can use whatever watercolor paints you have. I will have all of the specific paint colors and supplies I am using for this tutorial listed over on my blog. I'll have a link in the description box below if you would like to check that out. To begin this painting, I first taped my bookmark down and placed my masking tape along my horizon line to create a nice clean straight line to separate my sky from my water. Next, I took up my large round brush and filled the entire sky section of my painting with clean water. I then began to paint in my sunset, starting at the bottom with my orange paint mixture. I placed my first brush stroke of orange paint right against the bottom of the sky. I used a damp brush to smooth out the orange paint from seeping up into the rest of my watery sky. Then with a completely clean and dry brush, I picked up the orange paint from the bottom center section to make a space for my sun. Just grab some yellow paint and tap that paint into this section. If the area is too dry, just use a little bit of water to blend it out into the orange paint. I then moved up to the top section of my sky and began painting in my blue paint mixture. I left some white space below the blue section because I wanted to be really careful about blending in my new paint colors with the orange section we just painted, because I don't want any of those colors to mix together and create a brown muddy mess. So you'll see me slowly blending those colors downward, leaving white space in between that orange section and the rest of the sky. I then added some darker pigment to my blue paint and filled in the top section of the painting. I messed around with the blue section of the sky for a while till I was happy with the overall color. Next, I mixed together a light wash of purple and then began to paint this color in under the blue section, and again leaving some white space between the new purple section and that orange section. I blended my purple paint upward into the blue paint and added just a little bit more vibrant blue paint to the top of the sky. Lastly, for this step, I added just a little bit more orange to the bottom of the sky, and then I took some clean water to carefully blend that orange paint upward toward that purple section. Once my sunset dried, I began painting in my ocean. I used my large round brush filled with a blue-purple paint mixture. I stopped my ocean right before I reached the bottom to leave room for my shore. I used a Payne's gray color for the shore. Then I took a dry, clean brush and picked up the paint between the shore and the ocean to give a natural lightened look. If you are enjoying this tutorial, then you may also be interested in my watercolor seascape tutorial. Click the link in the top right-hand corner if you would like to check that out. I waited for everything to dry and then I painted in my waves. I switched over to my small round brush. With the tip of my brush, I painted in thin wave lines using that same color we just used for the ocean. Then, once my lines were in place, I took a clean brush filled with water and blended out these harsh wave lines into the ocean. This will give the waves a natural, soft look. After I re-wet my ocean by blending in my waves, I took some darker purple paint on my brush and I just tapped that into the back of the ocean to give the painting a little bit more depth. Lastly, I painted in my palm tree. I used black paint on my small round brush. I began by painting in a line to give me an idea of where I wanted my palm tree trunk to be. Then I continued to paint in the full shape of the palm tree trunk. Next, I used the tip of my brush to paint in the palm tree leaves. This step took a while because of painting each individual palm leaf. But all I did was paint in thin lines angling down away from the center of the palm tree. And as the first layer dried, I would go back over the leaves with a second layer of darker paint. At the very end, I added a lot of black paint to the center of the palm tree to give some depth. And there you have an easy, beginner-friendly watercolor painting. This is perfect for a bookmark or just for someone who wants some watercolor practice. This bookmark will be for sale over on my Etsy shop. I will have a link in the description box below if you would like to check that out. Thanks so much for following along. Here are a few more watercolor tutorials you may also like.